Hi, Ivy. Welcome. Thanks for joining me. It's very nice to meet you. Before we dive into this, can you share a little bit about yourself and tell me about your carnivore journey? How did it all start for you?
Hi, happy to be here and happy to get to know you a little bit better. I didn't start carnivore then. In 2019, I was diagnosed with MS, unfortunately, multiple sclerosis, and it was very hard. I lost the ability of walking in the middle of the street. I couldn't use my hands. I couldn't remember my name sometimes. So it was very tough. I think the worst thing were actually the sensitivity issues. That means that your skin feels like something is crawling under it, which is just completely, yeah, making you crazy. It's like a snake is crawling through my body, or hot is cold. So I get burned without even touching. I thought that I touched cold water and stuff like that. So it was very tough. And when I was diagnosed, they also tried always to put me on medication, but the medication made all the things worse. And at some point, it was last year. Yeah, I think it was last year. I was completely down. I was at the bottom because I had fever every day from the medication. I thought, this can't be my life. This is awful. I don't know what to do. It's already, I tried a lot of medication for the MS and nothing really helps me, or it doesn't work, or it has a lot of side effects. So I was devastated and I tried to figure out what to do. And I was crying in my bed and I looked into my phone and some guy popped up and he was saying, don't eat, too much vegetables and fruits. You have to eat more meat and these kind of things. And I was like, what is he talking about? That's not what I heard. That's not what everybody's telling me. And people also tried to convince me to go vegan. So I tried even that. And I was completely convinced that vegan or vegetarian lifestyles more in this direction, that must be it, because that's healthy, that's how it's supposed to be, and meat is bad. And yeah, I was completely out of my mind seeing just this video, and then suddenly, because of the algorithm, people like Chafee and Bella Steak and Butter Gal showed up in my feeds and talked about this carnivore diet, and I was like, what the hell is that? Are they all crazy? Why are they eating meat so much? That can't be healthy. But I was at my bottom, really, and I was like, you know what, that's the last thing on my list, that I can give it a try. Everything else I tried out. And yeah, so I started my carnivore journey.
That's pretty awesome. I mean, how it all started. And who was that first person? Was it Dr. Shafee that you heard it from,
No,
that you cannot eat plants? It
no.
was somebody else?
Yeah, it was somebody else, but I'm always forgetting his name. He's not really prominent in the carnivore scene. He's more in the keto version scene, in this path, a little bit more carnivore-ish. But I can't remember his name because he only popped up once in my feed and was telling about it, but then never again when my algorithm was completely full of carnivore stuff and not keto anymore, so he didn't pop up again.
I see, I see. So wait, I guess I just wanted to know first, how long have you been carnivore now?
For February 2005, 14, 1.5 years
Oh
longer.
wow, yeah,
I can't remember when my last time. I'm not counting days anymore.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that's quite awesome. I mean, several years. Okay, so what happened after that?
After I started and tried out, at first it was the first 2 or 3 days, I think, until my body started being in ketosis, which it never was before. It was just this crazy, euphoric, oh my God, I am a superhuman. I'm gonna, can do everything. And I'm so excited. And I have so much power. And it was like this 3, 4 days, pure excitement. That was when I understand these crazy people, what they're talking about meat. And yeah, I can do that. But then the keto flu started. So thankfully, I was always into kind of these videos from all these people telling me what to do, what not to do. So it was a little bit overwhelming at the time because it's just too much information when you start out something like that. But I was like, okay, I know what I'm getting myself into. Your body needs to adjust whatever you do, even if it's sport, if it's food, if it's a new job. You always need a time to adapt, and that's something that most people don't give it because it's very scary. I had very scary symptoms also from the keto flu. One of it is also, it's just on the side. It's like somebody's cutting a knife into you. And I was like, oh my God, what is that? Meat can't be healthy. This was really a time where I was thinking, oh my God, that can't be right. And somebody just told me, that's your liver producing something. And, you have to take care of that with kind of, it's called Schwedenbitter in Germany. So that's what also my boyfriend gave me to drink, and it helps a lot. It's what Jägermeister is from, but it's without alcohol. There are versions without alcohol, but that helped with these kind of things. And there are also different stuff that also Chafee and co recommend. And these things helped me through these awful situations that I had. At one point, I also couldn't breathe, for example, because I had a major reaction to soup, just bone broth. It was nothing else, but I kind of seemed to be allergic through it. I couldn't breathe. It was very scary. These were the times when I thought, I can't do this. This doesn't seem right. But, talk to these people, thankfully, also through my channel, that I was sharing my story just to have some people who are doing the same things and experiences. And they were talking to me and telling me that they experienced the same thing. Try out this, that will help. And I got through this just because of the community. Without them, I probably don't think I could manage it out of being scared. So yeah, so the community is very important for the carnivore journey. That's something I realized.
Yeah, that's really awesome to hear, about the carnivore space, the carnivore community. Before you actually tried carnivore, before you even heard about carnivore, did you had like what did you think was the root cause of your MS? Did you have an assumption like before, like could it be like stress in general, or could it be work related, or did it ever occur to you that it might be the food that you're eating that's like adding contributing to all this the MS?
After I had the worst time on my MS, when it all started, I went to rehabilitation center, and I've been there 4 weeks. So all the stress was gone. And I also stopped eating sugar because somebody recommended me at the time just to stop eating sugar because sugar is so bad for your body. Not carbs at the time. It was really just sugar, which I never really tried before. So when I had no stress for 4 weeks and I had no sugar, my body started recovering very fast. That's something I realized at the time. But out of stress, I work in a corporate company. I work in cybersecurity. So we have a lot of stress. We have stress peaks, and then we have these stress downfalls. So that's my job. I'm not like, I'm going to travel around and I'm a super influencer and I have all the time and no stress and that's not my lifestyle. I don't want to live that as well. So I think stress is a part of our life. We need to find ways to manage it. And therapy helped me a lot through that, also hypnotherapy and these kind of things, talking therapy, just to see how to work with stress in this first thing. But the most thing that helped was actually Chafee at the time, I have to say. Anthony recommended to me what to take when it comes to B12 and vitamin D. And when I started using his protocol and his ways of how much you have to have, if somebody have an autoimmune issue, how much B12 you have to have and vitamin D, and it has to be higher than the average. Suddenly my body sooner recovered. This was one of the major things also that carnivore brought to me. It was not just only meat and, and the community. It was also tips like that from doctors actually that really helped, that are believing in you don't have to take also only medication. Sometimes you're just lacking of something else.
Wow, that is great to hear. I mean, I know MS is a very challenging condition, and it's a very difficult position to be in, especially how it happened to you the first time back in 2019, right? Where you just like collapsed in the street.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you went to a medical professional, what was the first thing like? did they? I'm sure they diagnosed it first. Like, what was their suggestion? Like, did they have any like recommendation? What was the initial first step on their end?
Yeah, that was awful. Just like a horror story. When first symptoms showed up, and when I couldn't move my legs, first things they thought it's my back. Something, it's just, I don't know how to call it in English, but something with your back is just wrong. This is why you can't move your legs. It's something that's logical. But when my hands also started not to working and also my brain, it didn't have, the combination between the back like that. And at first, I went to basically all the tests that I could get from one of a friend's date at the time, because I had a friend I was playing guitar with, and the guitar fall out of my hand. And I let the guitar fall down, and he was like, "What is happening?" And I explained to him what my symptoms are, and I don't know what to do. And his friend at the time, his date, was actually an eye surgeon. So that was funny. She has nothing to do with these kind of things, but often the eyes are infected also with the MS. They have a lot of MS patients. But she told me, test this and that, it can be this. So I went through that, thankfully, just for these little situations. And they tested me positive for Lyme disease. That was the first thing. They thought I had Lyme disease, and they started treating me for Lyme disease and with medication, and it was awful. And I was wondering why the medication is doing me so much harm. It's 100% MS, so what is showing from the pictures. And yeah, that's when the treatments kind of crossed paths. And then they did the liquor test, which, they take out this liquid out from your back, which was just awful for me. And they said that the Lyme disease was wrong diagnosed. It's 100% MS. They see it, it just can be that. So this is when they started treating me for MS.
Wow. So when you started Carnivore, did you mention this to your doctor, or like did you introduce to them, hey, I want to try something else, maybe this is not the conventional approach, and or did you even let them know about it?
Yeah, that's another horror story. So everything when it comes to doctors is just a horror story. And I'm not against doctors at all. I have friends who are doctors, so I'm very pro doctors. Thank you for saving our lives. But when it comes to different approaches to medication, they tend to be very aggressive, most of them. And I had a lot of experience with doctors, so I can say most of them. Because when I discovered Carnivore and I should go another medication after me having fever all the time, feeling awful from the medication, I went to my neurologist, I talked to her, and I was like, I can't do another medication round. I can't do it. The only thing that is left, because it seems like I'm allergic and high risk for other medications that are on the list. There is only one left. And I have to take it, and there is a big chance of breast cancer and tumors, and I was scared. And she didn't understand me being scared of having another illness. And she was so not really understanding, and she was one of the good doctors, actually. And I said, please give me time. I need to figure this out. I saw some videos about food and it seems interesting. I just want to try it out. Can we just wait 6 months? Please give me 6 months. We can do an MRI. I have an MRI from this day. When I'm starting this, we can do 6 months later and we will see if something good happens or not. And she was so angry at me. She was screaming at me, I'm going to kill myself. I can kill some kids when I'm driving and I can't move my hands and my legs. And she was just overreacting overall. It was horrible. I was just sitting there crying. I don't know what to do. Am I doing the wrong thing? And am I going to kill people outside just by driving? And it was just stupidity in the end. And yeah, so I decided to go with that, and they weren't happy with me. They weren't happy at me at all, when I started this in the first place.
Wow. So I guess when your doctor like pushed back, they don't want to negotiate, like, hey, you can try this, for I guess like a brief moment or like just a month. I mean, what gave you like ultimately like the conviction to try carnivore anyway?
It was actually the symptoms prior that it was just horrible, and I didn't want to go through this again. And she didn't accept it that it was that bad, because the symptoms from other patients to this particular medication was not that severe like mine. And I don't know. I kind of tend with medication, my body kind of reacts differently and very extreme. So there's just, you can see it. I have high fever. You can, put the thermometer so you can see that something's wrong. But she didn't want to accept that kind of. And I don't know if this is a little bit also because of the money, and for the doctors on the one side, of course, they want to, sell you also stuff. But on the other hand, I have to protect them as well, because I understand that people come to them and say, I know how to solve this problem. I'm intelligent. I'm the best. I'm so smart. And then they start doing something and they're making it worse. And then they come back 1 year later and they're in a wheelchair, can't walk, can't talk. And I think they see that a lot of happening over their course of working time. And I I have to admit that after me being carnivore, I had this year in around about June, I had a downfall. I had a relapse with my sugar addiction. So it was very bad. It was horrible. I gained 15 kg. I felt awful. Everything went down the drain. It was just horrible. I started having depressions because of that. It was just so bad. It was just stress from private life and work life and everything just combined. And these things happen in life. It is like this. And then I decided to, because it started to getting worse with my MS symptoms as soon as I started having my sugar addiction. So I see the correlation between these two, unfortunately. So I decided to go back to her and say, I'm going to take the medication until I can really figure it out, how to stay on track, how to really not fall down just because of a stressful situation like this. And yeah, so I went back and I took the medication in the end now for 1 month. I don't regret it. It's important to know your own limits. If you can't make it or you're very far with your sickness, you should still think about the medications and stuff like that until you figure out how to really get into this kind of lifestyle, because it does help. My MRIs are showing it. It's black and white. They showed in the 6 months that my lesions stopped growing. So this is why Chafee Anthony is also doing a study about that, so people can read about it also, that this really is a thing. It happens. You can see it black and white. It does something with your body. It stops lesions of growing. So yeah, but know your limits. That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah. No, 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 I think that's actually a great advice. It's also, great to hear. It sounds like you were afraid to lose your doctor because you didn't have the approval from her. Like, was it like I guess now that you're thriving in carnivore, did you ever give her a feedback, about it? Like, what did the doctor think about it?
This is the worst thing. They don't appreciate any kind of this direction. I can understand that from a science view, because there are not a lot of evidence, no long-term evidence. Even if Chafe is doing the study, it's not going to convince people suddenly that meat is good. Even with when Kennedy structured the pyramid now on the opposite side, and now the steak is very high and people should eat more steak, everybody was like, what the hell? Why should we eat more steak? That's so bad for our bodies. I think there is so much left to really people to get them to understand, because they're so, this is bad for us. It seems like a new fancy diet, like the veganism, it's a fancy diet. Then the market comes in, they make profit out of it and make stupid food, even if in the first place it wasn't stupid food. So I'm pretty sure it will happen to carnivore very soon, because carnivore is just having this hype now, like veganism was before. And I think they will now produce a lot of shitty foods that will actually hurt us in the end. It would not be clean carnivore food which is healthy for you. It will be full of stuff again. So I think it's a long process, but I don't think that carnivore will become mainstream. I don't think that. I think it's going to be a veganism hype kind of thing until people realize that you feel better. you are losing weight, you will feel better. Your back pain will come back if you stop eating the right things. But you need some time to adjust your body. And most people, I don't think they wouldn't give it if they don't have really major health issues in the end to go through these keto symptoms and stuff like that.
Yeah, I agree. I know you mentioned earlier that you've tried different diets like vegan, plant-based, and other ones. I know you also mentioned like fancy. That's how I actually look at it. I've tried paleo before, and that was the first time I've tried a specific diet. I thought, I've never followed one. This is too fancy for me. So when you did carnivore, did you do like elimination diet in the beginning? I know you also mentioned about Dr. Shafi, like following his suggestion, or did you remove like pretty much like everything right away?
At the first, I think 3-4 days, I was actually really removing everything. It was basically lion diet. That's when I felt the best. But when I realized my mental health was not there yet, I couldn't handle the restriction. It was too much restriction, and I'm a person, if somebody restricts me, I just want to break out and do the opposite. So if I restrict myself, I want to do the opposite. I want to eat all day chocolate cake. So I had to be careful at some point and tried to have this lighter approach to carnivore to not sabotage myself in the end. So I added the cheese there, do OMAD, but if I have a PMS phase, especially as a woman, it's different to eat as well. So you have to be aware of that you need higher fat, especially when you're PMSing and stuff like that. There are so many doctors in a carnivore world who really give you great suggestions. But absolutely, that was crazy, was the butter hype. I was like, what the hell is wrong with these people? Why are they eating butter? Are they crazy? And I was like, I'm never going to eat butter. And I tried it. And I was like, blah, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to puke. And after a time, I realized that my body actually needed it. It needed it, and it was like, oh my God, I'm craving butter. Why am I craving butter? And I realized the more I have to work and use my brain at work, the more butter I have, or the more fat in general, my brain starts working better. When I had to do a physical thing like going to the gym, a higher protein worked better for me. So this was so interesting just to see how your body works through all these little adaptations and figure out what works for you. So it's important to not be, I have to go strict and I have to just do lion diet because that's the only thing that works. It doesn't work for everybody. It doesn't. It works for some people. For some people, it works better to have variation, even a little bit more of a easygoing type of carnivore, but focus on a meat. I think that's important, and lower the carbs to focus on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. Um, Looking at back at your carnivore journey now, like I guess this can tie in with your with the situation with you and the doctor. Did you ever had like a moment of doubt? Carnivore might not work, especially without your doctor's approval, but I'm gonna start it anyway because I want to see if I'm gonna improve. Or did you ever had any mistake, and how did you learn from them?
Especially these kind of things that I mentioned before, when I stopped breathing and couldn't breathe proper, these kind of things were just scary. So I thought the doctors were right. This is bad for me. So that's what I said. Without the community and their tips and their tricks and how to get through these things, I wouldn't manage it. So I think one of the most important thing for me was to really um, change my algorithm. This is one of the most important things, because your feeds in Instagram, YouTube, whatever you are using, is full of food stuff. People, eating, oh, look at this cake, look at this pizza. So it's very important to follow carnivore people and carnivore stuff. So I just started following like 100 or 200 people who are just posting meat, just to change my algorithm so I don't see carbs anymore, because it's triggering me. When I see it, I'm starting craving it. So this was very, very important for me to have that, and also follow and get also into interaction with these doctors. And for me, one of the most important thing was actually when I went to Spain. It was 5-7 days with a lot of carnivore people. Chafee was also there, so this is how we connected in the first place, and just to get to know them and understand why they're doing it and how they are doing it and what they did better or worse, and have all these doctors there who are interested in these kind of healing methods was really cool to see. It's just different. It's people who are open-minded to everything, that helped a lot.
Wow. Yeah, that's really awesome to hear. I think you mentioned about changing your algorithm. I think that's something I probably should try to, because I still see them, like, when I watch go on YouTube, and I actually watch these food videos just to like test my food noise if I'm still craving them. And I mean, surprisingly, I would say like 90% gone. So yeah, but that was a good thing to
Really?
try. Um,
Congratulations. That's not
yeah,
easy. You're
um,
brave.
I know, right?
Yeah.
What does what does a typical day of maybe a week or a month like of eating for you look like now? So do you keep it pretty much like consistent, or do you switch things up? I think you also mentioned it's good to have some kinds of variations. Maybe you can walk me through what you usually eat now.
Yeah. So as I told you, at June my sugar addiction started. So I tried to be carnivore as much as I can, like 70%, and the 30% came from carbs and sugar, which is just the worst combination you can do to your body. It is, because you have on the one hand the very high calorific approach, which is carnivore, and if you don't add the carbs, it's you can eat as much calories as you want. That's what carnivore people often tell people. It is if you eat just meat. That's important. If you eat, all the cheese in the world, you're gonna be fat. It's not all food are not, you're not gonna get weight from it from a carnivore perspective. But from meat part, at some points eat even until 4,000-5,000 calories, and I just started losing weight, so much weight. Also with a high fat approach, with eating a lot of butter. The more butter I ate, the more weight I lost. And I was like, what the hell is going on? This is crazy. But as soon as I have the same approach and added carbs because of my sugar addiction kicked in, then suddenly, of course, the calories were not calories anymore. And this is why I gained 15 kg in not even 3 months. So this is important for people to know. Something in between is bad. So you need then to figure out to be at least in a calorific deficit if you're really failing your journey like I did. If not, even if you're full carnivore, the lion diet is the best approach when it comes to health, when it comes to the best thing you can get out of this carnivore world, of course. But if you miss the variation, these lighter approaches were more easier for me. So for me to also reset my body sometimes, that's also what I'm doing this week now with my boyfriend. We are resetting our bodies completely. So we are doing 3 days of sardines fast, which is very high in vitamin D, and it's very good. You can eat as much as you want. Sardines, if you're hungry, you eat, because your body is telling you, I'm not hungry because I don't crave sardines. You don't want to overeat on sardines. Nobody wants to do that. I think it's not the best food in the world. So that helps a little bit of resetting and also putting in your body a little bit more of this vitamin D, especially when it's winter outside. This helps a lot. So we are doing this, and then we're going to do the lion approach. So we're going to reset our body one whole week, do everyday gym, go every day for a walk. So we're going to do an extreme challenge for us, but just to, see a little bit of a difference in our weight scales and not to be overwhelmed always from our weight perspective, and then easily start, see what is good for us. Is it OMAD? Is it 2 meals a day? Is it eggs, butter, and steaks? Or is it just the lion approach? Can we manage that? Is that something that's now good for us? Because just because it was good for you a year ago doesn't mean that you're now having the same feelings towards meat or towards this journey. So be open to also change that up, how you feel. So
Wow, that's pretty awesome. You mentioned sugar addiction like in the past. So what was your favorite food back then? Do you have anything specific, or do you have like a lot, like pretty much like keep it variation also before carnivore?
Yeah, my biggest addiction is cookies. Even the word is triggering me. This is something that fascinates me since I started the carnivore journey. That even the word cookie is triggering me, and it's just putting my mindset. And I was talking with a therapist actually about all these food noises and what to do, and I don't know what to do about it. And then we realized that it comes from my childhood because my dad always had cookies in his car. And always when I get in this car, this was our special moment. We're going to share some cookies. And he was always sharing with me these cookies. And it was so special. And that's something that I remember all the time when somebody says cookies. I remember a good time, dopamine, happy, good thing. It's not bad for me. And I never felt bad with cookies. I didn't have stomach pain or I didn't feel awful, but I couldn't stop eating. This is the worst part. This is what most people do and why they do carnivore in the first place, because they can't moderate carbs. And the older I got, the heavier it got to stop eating. And yeah, I was really having how do you say that, a problem with food in general when it comes to carbs and sugar, because I just couldn't stop me. It was horrible. Yeah, but cookies. Cookies is bad.
Yeah, I mean, especially cookies. You're right. You're right. I agree because these are sugar addiction, and they're very hard to get rid of. I think it's every pretty much. I feel like everyone, will probably find like a 1% like who can just like easily, get rid of it like with no problem. But I think for most of us, in the beginning, it's going to be very difficult task to get rid of this. About carnivore, what is the hardest thing about being carnivore for you? Like, example for me would be the social gatherings, right? Like with family and friends, holidays, the travel, the family trips you have to pack, and the cravings in the beginning that slowly went away. But what about for you? Like, what is the hardest thing for you being carnivore?
Yeah, especially in the beginning, the social gatherings were really difficult because people don't understand that. And I hate to discuss something. I don't want to discuss my life with somebody that doesn't understand me. I want to talk to people who do understand me and spend my time, talking to them about the good stuff and not trying to convince a vegan to eat meat. I don't do that. Why should I? If a vegan comes to me and says, I don't feel good on my diet, what should I do? Then I'm happy to discuss that, but I'm not going to convince them. I don't think this is the right approach. I think it's very aggressive and it makes people like, I don't want to hear about it. But when I started it, people judged me in the first. They're like, oh, well, this is so stupid. Why don't you eat bread and fries? And I was like, why should I eat bread and fries? I do understand if you say vegetables. Okay, I can understand that, or salads or fruits. But why should I eat fries to my steak? Why should I just eat the steak? Where is the problem? I was stupid. The fries that didn't really, and that was something I didn't understand. People why they want to convince me to eat fries and bread, but this was at the beginning. But now I realized, also being longer into that and also people knowing me, they were actually really understanding and they were asking me, so, oh, you added something else, don't you do just the meat part? And I said I was falling off the wagon and I'm not happy about that, and I'm not happy about myself because I don't feel good, but I'm trying to get back on track and to be a better person for myself. And I think the worst part was actually we traveled to Japan, my son and me, and that was hard because you're in Japan. You want to experience all these crazy, bubbly things you have there, and you saw that in a video, and all these influencers are eating and sharing, and this is the best. You need to try that out. And we needed just to experience it. And I didn't want to. I think this is one of the worst parts because food is a part of our life. It's You go to Italy to enjoy the spaghetti and the pizza with the amazing people there, and the mama is serving it, and the big mama did. When I was in Conegliano, this was a part of social life, being together, sharing this big plate of spaghetti and salads. And this is something that is really hard when you have a strict diet like that. So I think if it feels right and if it feels good, stay on it. But if you have these moments where you think this is a social gathering, or this is something that I really want, or I'm craving, or I really want to enjoy it, and it doesn't hurt your whole journey, and you're not like me and then fall off the wagon like crazy because you just smell one piece of cookie, then you go for it. You find your own ways. But for me, it's starting to getting actually a little bit more easier. It's just the traveling part. It's sometimes a little bit harder. But when it comes to work or something like that, it's pretty easy to go just for the meat, and have also cheese meat stuff you can grab easily and just eat it, or sardines or tuna or something like that. So that makes it easy. And one thing I shot in Malaga, which I didn't even think about it, was Sarah, she's a doctor. We went to shopping and she just bought the pure meat, the minced beef, which is like burger patties, but it was not cooked. And I didn't think about that. And she was eating it raw. And I was like, oh my God, what are you doing? I'm so stupid, because beef tartare is raw, it's the same thing, just a little bit different from the quality, but it's the same thing. And I love beef tartare. And I was like, oh my God, you're eating that raw. And she was like, try it. And I'm trying it. And I was like, that's actually not bad. So even buying these raw burger patties and eat it, if you have fresh meat, if you're sure that it's fine and fresh, that's also something you can do along the way. I know it sounds crazy, but beef tartare is like one of the more expensive high society foods, and it's raw meat. It's nothing else. So yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I can relate really well about the whole trip, especially yes, went to Japan. Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's a difficult position to be in because you want to experience the culture, but then you're doing this carnivore lifestyle thing. So, and is your son pretty much the people around you in sync with your diet?
My mom and my son started with me the carnivore diet, which was amazing to see because they had the same benefits like I did. So my mom had osteoporosis, and she hadn't to use any medication at some point. So it was amazing. We saw the benefits, all of us, so my son as well. But at some point, and this is what I'm saying, for some people it's very hard to go back to carnivore when they fall off the wagon with carbs. And my mom fall off a little bit because she started eating bread. That was important to her, for her. She's still a meat eater. She was always a meat eater. That's why she's really thin and in general healthy. But my son is now completely gone. So it's important to not force things on people as well, because they're just gonna say, I don't want it. But as soon as I feed my kid at home, we try to do meat based as much as animal based as much as possible for him. And if he really craves something or needs something, we find a little bit of tweaks here and there, but we have a little bit of an agreement how he should eat. But he loves to cook, and I don't want to take this away from him because he's also going to a cooking school soon. And this is something that where you have to experience all the flavors and all the things. And I've been also to cooking school. So, and the same school that he's now should go, and he should experience all that. But my boyfriend, actually, he started when I started carnivore. I told him about it, and he started it, and he had amazing benefits. He lost 10 kg very fast. He looked amazing. He looked like a Greek god. I was like, this is doing carnivore, guys. You should all try it. And also this whole animalic things with the meat in general. It's it's kind of cool to see all the benefits. This is also very important. But if you fall off the wagon, you fall off the wagon. So you just have to start over at some point if you can manage that. So don't feel bad. That's what I want to say also to people. Don't feel bad if this happens. Even if it happens for months, you can go back as soon as you realize it's not doing me any good what I'm doing right now. Just try to find a way to snap back.
Wow. Yeah, that's really awesome to hear. I'm glad they're thriving. Yeah. I know we talked about the hard thing about being carnivore. What is the best thing for carnivore? I know people would mention, multiple things like improve mental clarity, no more arthritis. But like the best thing, like for me, is that I can sleep well at night. What has been the best thing for you?
One thing that some people said, they feel like superhuman. That's what they often use, this kind of word, superhuman. And I experienced that in the beginning. And my 3 days carnivore that I talked to, it was just an out of body experience. I can't even describe that. And I didn't have it for 8 months, and I didn't know what I did wrong or different than in the beginning, because I still was eating the same foods and the same meat and the same brand or butcher. So I wasn't sure what happened. But when I was in Malaga, for example, then I was to a very expensive restaurant to treat myself, and I was eating like this big steak twice a day. And I had like 700, 800 grams of meat that day. And I felt this superhuman moment again. It was just crazy. It is, you want to have that every day, because this is so crazy. It's like a crazy drug, It was like, whoa, I want to experience it again. I don't know what it is, if it's the meat quality, if it's just the amount of meat in the end. I tried to replicate it all over, but I never can manage it. It's sometimes just coming that you feel that aphorism. I can't explain it. It's really something you should experience yourself to understand that. It's just, yeah, out of this world how you feel. It's crazy.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah, I mean, I like your description about that. Like very like a superhuman. Yeah. If you had to describe the impact of carnivore in your life, I know it reversed your MS. How would you describe it in one word, and tell me why?
Ooh, difficult question. um, hmm. Lifestyle, I think. With carnivore comes a very particular lifestyle. With veganism comes a very particular lifestyle. It's more of this yoga. You try to be uh, to do the right things, to support animals, that in that direction, to wear clothes that no animals are suffering, and so on. So this is like the vegan part. So I think veganism is important because there are some people who really care about these kind of things. So I think it's important to have people also like that. Not everybody should be carnivore. This is not something we should promote that much because we don't want it. It's still a mass production in the end for so many people. But on the other hand, carnivore has a very different lifestyle. It's also political, it's religious, it's comes with certain kind of food and mindsets, and what you think, how you talk to people, what is important for you. You try to be more aware also of the butchers and farmers and these kind of things. You try to support that direction. You have a different understanding also of politics. But that is a really big thing. Politics and religion, it really changes because you talk to certain kind of people because they believe in something, and they how do you say that, they are not convinced that the government is telling you the right things, and they start to analyze it and to ask questions, or to ask the right questions. Why should I take medication? Why shouldn't I do something else? And so on. So it's just a lifestyle that comes with the whole carnivore world. It's a little bubble. So I like this bubble. I like the people in it. I like their mindsets, and I can kind of, yeah, I feel like I'm a part of more of that than of any kind of other, my mindset, diet mindset.
Yeah, that's excellent. Yeah, I find that to be true. I think like it's a little bit of everything, politics, religion. There's so much more to it with the lifestyle. I feel like most people, would try things like halfway or incomplete before they can actually get to the result, and then they move on. So, if you can give like an advice to someone just starting carnivore, or maybe they show interest because they see you have, they saw the result in you. You reversed MS, and maybe they have a similar issue and they want to try it, but they're like super skeptical about it because they think they're going to get a heart attack or some kind of other heart issue, what would you tell that person?
For me, as I said, the community is very important, and I was lucky that I choose this path of YouTube in the first place to just share and find people who maybe have the same interest, and they started commenting on my page, and so we got into contact or on Instagram and these kind of things. Or I just wrote some carnivores and told them, what are you doing and should we connect? So to have an approach, there are a lot of communities with carnivore challenges. A lot of Steak and Butter Gal has it, Anthony has it. There are a lot of 90-day challenge carnivore, and where just people have these groups to find solutions if something with your health it's going the wrong direction. So I think this is one of the most important parts, because you feel very, very alone on a carnivore diet. Your whole social life will tell you that you're doing something wrong. It's bad for the environment. How can you eat animals? They're gonna be mad and mean to you at some point. It is like this. So it's very hard to find people who understand you and who are pro the same things like you are. So this is why it's important, I think, that we have our online community to find people, because here when I look, it's hard to find people who understand that, because they're very vegan, very vegetarian, in my closer bubble.
Yeah, very well said. I actually forgot to ask you a question earlier about the diet, because you've been on carnivore several years now. Did you ever had the
So
oxalate dumping experience, or did that happen? Did that happen like early on, or like later, like 2 to 3 years later, or yeah?
all these kind of things are a little bit of controversy. Also, to have a histamine, for example, that was talked in Spain, that there is no histamine. One doctor said, the other was, are you crazy? There is histamine. So they were starting to argue with each other. Two very smart people, So the oxalate dumping is the same thing. People think this is in a carnivore world. It's what is this? Is this not true? And then other argument with that. So I can't say anything about it, because I don't think about too much about these kind of things, because I just experience my own feelings and how it feels and what I can do in the end. And I wouldn't call it oxalate dumping. I always say dumplings.
I see. Yeah, well said. How do you see carnivore now? Like maybe in the next 5 to 10 years, do you see it being in the positive light, meaning a lot more people joining in the community, because we're seeing a lot of people healing from their diseases, chronic issues. But at the same time, it can be in a negative light. Maybe big pharma, or maybe censorship. We're getting false information, or maybe meat prices going high. What are your thoughts?
Everything you said is pretty what we're going towards to, because as soon as something is hyped, the prices are getting very high. This is gonna happen in the end. But the worst thing that's gonna happen, and I'm pretty sure of that, the same thing that happened to veganism, all these products will pop up, which are very bad for us in the end, with artificial sweeteners and stuff in it. And one thing that I realized, I bought one packages which stands 100% beef, and I was like, oh my god, great, beef jerky's in Austria, 100% beef, that's great. And I was eating it, and I was like, what the hell, that's sweet. And then I turned it around, and that was 100% beef, but 100 things added to it. And I was like, are they crazy? Why do they add sugar to meat? This doesn't even taste good, But my son loved it. So I think we we are destroying our taste buds with all these kind of things as well. So I think that's going to be this kind of mainstream into one direction, that there is very bad versions of all the foods that we are eating now and that are maybe good for us. So this is why I think butchers, farmers are more important, but they are also more expensive. So it is a cost factor, which is a little bit a pity, unfortunately, but it is what it is. And it's also about all these mainstream foods that will pop up soon. And you can see it with, for example, Bella, Steak and Butter Gal. You can see her audience, how it increased. It increased, I think, in a couple of months. It was from 100,000 to 500,000 people. So you see how much the community is growing with kind of her channel or JV's channel. You see if they're going up in their followers, you see that it's getting to a little bit of a mainstream character at some point. So I think maybe 1 year more, and then we are at one peak, and then the industry will start to get involved.
Wow. Yeah, I agree. I feel like that's an excellent outlook. I feel like it's going to be a little bit of everything. It's going to be a mix of good thing and bad thing. Yeah. Ivy, if people want to reach you or follow you, where's the best place to connect with you?
Actually on YouTube. So I try to always read all the comments and answer also the comments. I try to be as transparent as possible with my videos. So people, if they scroll back at my first video, they will see really my first day and the things that I talked to when I started and how I felt. So it's not several years, it's 1.5, 2 years, something around that. So they will see this, my whole journey. I almost post it every day as well for people who want to start and to see how it can go bad and up and down. It's just a journey. So it's very transparent with what's happening. And yeah, I think that was important for me to not always see the end results, but to see also the suffering in between, because with all these carnivore influencers, I only saw the end results and they're already thin and healthy and happy, but I never saw how they get there. So in the end, and how much trouble it is to get there. So this was my approach of sharing that and connecting with people in that kind of direction. Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm gonna make sure to post your YouTube for so people can reach you. Ivy, thank you so much again for joining me. I really enjoyed listening to your story and your perspective about the carnivore journey. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. That's nice. Thanks. Love to get to know you.